If you have no direction in life, you need to pick up a journal. With every self-development tip, the one thing that is usually a common factor is journaling. And I know a lot of us may not be much of a writer. Personally, I'm a writer. I love to write. I think it's one of the most effective ways for me to communicate to people personally, because my brain, there's so much happening in my brain. But I know for a lot of people, it's very hard to just write what's happening in your brain. You may not even know like where to start because there's a lot of things happening in your brain. You may not feel like you're a good writer, but from my experience, journaling has helped me tremendously in difficult times, in times where I'm super happy and excited and pleased with life, in times where I feel unfocused, in times where I felt alone. Journaling can help you at your highest and at your lowest points. And so I wanted to share some tips on why you need to be journaling to level up, especially during this whole phase of winter art. Journaling could be a really helpful practice to add to your routine. So if you're interested in some of these tips, keep on watching. These are the 6 reasons why journaling can help you level up. Number 1, journaling helps you stay focused and be centered, especially if you feel like you are always getting distracted and you feel like your direction in life is always deviating from where you want it to go. Journaling can help you regain that focus and become centered. You're literally writing down why you feel unfocused, and then you can write out steps to get yourself back into that mindset. In a world full of constant stimulation, especially with social media, it is so easy to have so many thoughts, so many viewpoints, so many lifestyles in your head because we're consuming so much information, so much entertainment. Oftentimes we don't have a space where we can just be one. And we know that like meditation, for example, can really help you clear your mind, but journaling is also another way to clear your mind because you're able to just pour in everything that's happening in your head. You can pour that onto the paper and get it out of your head so that you can remember where your focus is. Journaling also helps you understand your values and what you want out of life. I feel like there are so many voices in life that are telling you to do one thing, to be one way, whether it's from your family, your friends, from the media, from social media, from school. There are always different viewpoints that are telling you you need to do this to reach this point in your life. You need to follow this type of tried and true standard to reach success. A lot of times for a lot of people we've seen, like for example, entrepreneurs or celebrities or artists, we see that there are people who are like renegades in their life, people who find their values and who deviate from the norm, and they're able to live in fulfillment and live in their true self. Journaling can really help you if you're not feeling like the timeline that you're on right now is where you actually want to be. And when you're journaling, you're able to really block out the outside noise because it's just you and the paper, you and the iPad, you and the phone, wherever you're journaling. You can question yourself and question the values that you've been taught, especially if they are misaligned with what you want your life to be. Journaling is a way for you to question things and learn from yourself and really understand who you are because it's just you and the pencil. So I really recommend trying out journaling if you're especially in that phase of life where you feel like you're doing everything right but you don't feel fulfilled. I know for me personally, I always go to my journal when I'm feeling that way. In my career, I've been able to do so many cool things and I'm really excited about that. However, especially I would say like a couple months ago, there's always been this like inkling, this little voice in the back of my head that's saying, yes, this is good for you. Yes, you're good at this. This is great and you are succeeding and excelling as best as you can. But there's something missing. There's something missing. Every time I would have that voice in the back of my head, I would resort to my journal and write it down, write out questions that I'm hearing in the back of my head. Just really work through those questions and those feelings of why do I not feel fulfilled and why do I feel like I'm not on the right trajectory for me personally. Like someone else who is looking outside in may look at my career and may look at my life and be like, wow, she's doing great. She's 26, she has her own apartment, she has a really good job, she's traveling, she's doing all these cool things. But they don't realize when it comes to my career, for example, there's something that's misaligned. I know what it is now from days of journaling. And so when I was feeling those feelings, I would write down, okay, what is my ideal career? What is my ideal source or feeling of creative freedom? How could I reach that realistically? How can I attain that? And so I would write down all of my thoughts on that, different kind of careers, different ways that I could really live into my creative freedom. Obviously, the number one role that kept coming up was doing my own thing. You know what I mean? Either content creation, business owner, entrepreneur, whatever it is. I have figured out like what my ideal career would look like. And now I'm trying to put the steps in place to reach that goal, and more will be coming out soon, so stay tuned. Journaling really can help you build your self-esteem and self-worth. For a while, a long time, I was quite insecure, not very confident in my looks, in my abilities to succeed, honestly. I had a lot of scarcity mindset. I didn't even know what scarcity mindset was until I learned about it through self-development content. So shout out to all the self-development girlies, because y'all really helped me understand the negativity. When I took the time to realize I don't want to be living like a sad person all the time, I don't want to be upset, I don't want to feel discomfort in my own skin, I took to my journal. I was also hearing all about the self-development content and just learning about different terms to name certain things, like I said, scarcity mindset and imposter syndrome as well. Journaling helped me lay out all of the negativity that I was feeling when it comes to my self-esteem and my confidence, my self-worth. I was able to write it all down constantly instead of just dwelling on those negative parts of myself, figuring out and identifying how can I improve that if I need to improve it, how can I stop feeling this way, and how can I be grateful for what I already have. Gratitude journaling really was essential to shifting my mindset into more of an abundance mindset so that I could feel more confident, feel more self-love. Writing out all the negative stuff, if you just keep it in your brain, then it's just a cycle of thoughts that you're going to be thinking out. So instead of keeping it in your brain, just put it onto a piece of paper so that it can get away from you, and just write it all out. And then you'll see yourself really transitioning these negative thoughts in your journal into more positive thoughts when you are thinking about what you're more grateful for, what you are proud of in yourself. When you actually lay out steps to make yourself feel more confident, you can start to see yourself becoming more of a brighter soul. So I truly recommend journaling for my people who are feeling a bit of insecurity. Obviously, journaling is great for blowing some steam. When you're upset, when you're angry, when you are depressed. You see this on social media where people will crash out because they did not take the time to work through their thoughts, and then they regret crashing out. A lot of people will resort to social media, to TikTok especially, to yell at the camera and kind of make a fool of themselves. Hey, to each their own, but I think a more productive way is by journaling. And look, there's even science to back this up. Let me name this correctly. So according to an article from UC Berkeley's Greater Good Science Center, a study showed that when people journaled or wrote down their daily thoughts, they felt less depressed and anxious. So we have the anecdotal evidence that people feel way less anxious and depressed, but there's actually studies that have looked into this to prove it. So instead of crashing out on social media, take to the journal, because it'll help you learn how to control and work through your emotions, which is a key point to leveling up. A fully leveled up person is not crashing out on social media. They are actually using the tools in their disposal, whether that's journaling, therapy, talking to a close friend, talking to themselves, I don't know. They're doing other things instead of making a fool of themselves and then apologizing later. Working through your emotions and having some emotional intelligence as well is really key to leveling up, and journaling can help you reach that. And as you're leveling up in your winter arc, journaling is a great way to really document the journey so you can see how far you've come. I love looking back at my old journals. Like, I have journals from when I was in high school. Ooh, high school me was going through it, but also I was very dramatic. Like when you just see how far you've come, that is really the key benefit of having a level up journey, because you get to see so much growth, mindset shifts. So make sure you journal your daily thoughts or your weekly thoughts if you feel like you can't do it every day, so that you can document how far you've come and actually feel yourself level up. And finally, journaling helps you be more grateful. I already touched on this a little bit, but even when you just write down like a couple words from a day where you really felt proud of yourself, that's a way for you to practice gratitude, and it can motivate you to accomplish your goals, which is the whole key to leveling up during this season. So I talked about the benefits, but now let's touch on how you can actually start journaling. Obviously, this is probably the hardest part, but the most important part. You need to set aside some time to write. I like to journal in the morning so that I can feel a little bit more clarity when I'm waking up at 6 a.m. and I'm like, okay, what are we doing today? What am I happy about? What did I wake up thinking about? Just getting things out of my head if I had like a bad night's rest, or if I just want to feel a little bit of grounding in life. And I also like to journal at night as well, so that I can like close out the day, especially if something happened during the day and I really want to document it. All you need is like 5 minutes. When you're writing, time goes by you quickly, so 5 minutes will not even feel that long, especially if this is like your first time journaling in a while and you have a lot to write down. You're gonna realize that the time is going by super quickly. So I'd recommend putting it in your Google Calendar, putting on a reminder for you to journal, and also maybe having an alarm or a timer that tracks the time and then it goes off at 5 minutes, so that you can really commit yourself to adding journaling to your level up practice. Then you're gonna want to decide what type of journaling you want to do. I do a mix of different types of journaling. It really just depends on how I'm feeling. So there's free writing, where you just write whatever comes to mind. And this is usually what I do all the time. Like I said, I got a lot of thoughts and they need to get out of my head. I just be writing until my hands cramp up. Also, a little tip, just make sure you hold your pen in the right way. I usually write like this, but I learned that when I write like this in my journals, I have my index finger on the top of the pen instead of my middle finger being on the top of the pen. I feel like my hand does not cramp up as bad, or even at all sometimes. So just make sure you hold your hand properly or your fingers properly if you cramp up a lot when you write. If you need a little bit of a push, I would recommend doing some journal prompted writings, and I have some prompts down below in the description bar. So if you made it this far, you get a little treat. But there are so many prompts that you can find on Google if you type in journaling prompts for X feeling, or journaling prompts for success. Like if there's a certain mindset that you want to be in your journaling, you can find some on Google as well. And then there's also gratitude journaling, which I also touched on, where you just write out what you're grateful for the day, for the week, for the year, whatever mindset you're in right now. It really does lift my spirits every time I do a little bit of gratitude journaling. And this also fits in with gratitude journaling, affirmations, writing down those as well into your journal to really get your head straight for the day. I think this really works in the morning and it can help you set the tone for the day. So affirmations like, I attract opportunity. These will help you visualize the person that you are leveling up to be, and help you step into that type of mindset and the habits of that kind of person. So those are my tips when it comes to journaling. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys.